Hi everyone, it's Lauren at Crafty Hippie. A few weeks ago I made this simple Follow Your Dreams card, just using this one Follow Your Dreams stamp set. And I thought I'd have another go with this stamp set today, again making another very simple stamping card, except I was going to use some different colours and maybe put some embellishments or, you know, a bit of bling on the card as well, but we're still going to keep it really simple. So today I thought we'd use a mixture of balmy blue, smoky slate, blueberry bushel, again I know I keep using that colour, and coastal cabana. As you can see, I've also got a mixture of the new and the old ink pads. Eventually I'll have all new ink pads. If you order an ink pad from Stampin' Up, they currently look like these ones. They're really compact and light, and they stack nicely. But just in case you're wondering why my ink pads look different, they're not from a different company, they're just the new ones versus the old ones. Right then, so the first thing that I'm going to do is stamp the dream catcher in the background using some Memento ink. Sometimes the easiest way to do this is to actually just put the stamp down and then hold the ink pad upside down and do it that way, rather than trying to do it that way. Okay, so I'm using our notelets and envelopes that you can buy, so you don't have to have reams and reams of Stampin' Up cardstock if you want to make a simple stamping card. And then when you need extra little bits of card for stamping on, you just simply cut one of these up and that will give you some matching cardstock. So I'm just going to stamp that in the middle. There we go, there's our dream catcher. Okay, so I might do the sentiment next, which is follow your dreams, which I've forgotten to take out the box. Find myself an acrylic block which will fit. Now I did this one in a mixture of black and pink. I use pens to do that. I'm just using ink pads today, so I think it's going to be all one colour, and I think I'm going to go for the blueberry bushel. I'm just going to pop that to one side. I've got a little bit of cardstock cut ready, so I have to try and get this straight. Now at this point I always apologise about the top of my head. I'm actually growing out my grey. I'm 37 and I've got loads and loads of silver, and because I get so tired and it's difficult to lift my arms up, I quite often, you know, I was finding that I just couldn't dye it anymore, and I just got so sick of it looking awful for a couple of weeks when I first dyed it, and then it would look natural for about a week and then the greys would just come through again. I just decided to just go for it. So as you can see, the top of my head is really silver, but I am actually quite a young lady, but yeah, I always feel very self-conscious of the top of my head. Okay, so ink up the blueberry bushel. Now, because I've used this stamp set before, I know it's okay, but when you get new stamps, it is a good idea to clean them and to stamp them and just sort of check and see what they look like. I've done a few projects before on a video where I've stamped a stamp that I've got and I haven't cleaned it, I haven't checked it, and I've ended up, you know, with a bit of fluff on it or something, and I've ruined my only chance, my only bit of paper that I've got to stamp on, and I've sort of ruined my video. So it is a good idea to check your stamps first. I'm actually going to go with that one because the other one had a bit of a bend in it. Right, now I don't know, oh right, okay, that's the top. Okay, so it's a bit difficult to see, but follow your dreams, there we go. That colour actually looks quite dark there. It looks more like our Night of Navy, but I think that's because it's quite a thick stamp, and as it dries the colour will start to pop out. So next thing is our flowers. Oh yeah, I am actually going to use a blender pen actually, because I'm going to colour in the flowers with a blender pen. but I'm still not using any markers. I'm going to use my ink pads and a blender pen. So we want to colour, let's get a bit of scrap card. So we're going to stamp this first. So I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black, which is available through Stampin' Up, and it is fade resistant dye ink. So what that means is once it's dried, it's not water based, so once it's dried it means you can actually carefully colour with it. I can colour that in, and that won't smudge or, you know, bleed or do things that I don't want it to do. So let's put that aside to dry. And the next thing is I'm going to stamp all the feathers. So, right, so yeah, this is where your scraps come in really handy if you've got loads of scraps of cardstock. And like I said, if you've just got the notelets and you haven't got cardstock, you can just sacrifice one of the notelets. Maybe you've stamped one wrong, maybe you're not happy with something. That still leaves you the other side of the card or the other side of that piece of cardstock. Just turn it over, and especially if you've used light colours, if you can't see it through the card, it doesn't matter, just turn it over and recycle it and use it. Right, so I need to clean in between because obviously I'm going to be stamping this one stamp which has got the 2 sets of feathers on. Now before I use my stamping scrub, I've probably mentioned this before, but I like to stamp off on a bit of paper, get as much ink off as I can before I clean it, and then that way you're not making your stamping scrub dirty as quick. So if you're only just joining me, this is the first video that you've ever watched. This is our stamping scrub, and we have some soap called Stampin' Mist. You spray on one side, so you've got one side wet, and you scrub the colour off and then you dry. I absolutely love this bit of kit. I couldn't be without it. We have got a new item called the Stamping Chamois, I think it's called, which is like a bit of chamois leather, I think, and you can use that to clean your stamps as well. I've not got one of those, so I can't tell you what that's like, but my demonstrator friends use it and love it. I'm sure there are customers out there that really love it as well, but I like my stamping scrub. I'm going to stick to that. Now I think I've got my stamp a bit wet, so I'm just going to use the edge of my cardie to stamp that back on. So I've done dark blue, light blue. I'm going to do some grey because I think that's going to go. Only half stamped one of the feathers there, some grey, and then some Coastal Cabana, which is like this bright turquoisey jade light teal colour. I would call that turquoise, but now actually this colour, this is interesting actually. So Coastal Cabana, when people are asked, so I saw this on a demonstrator forum, when people were asked whether they thought this was more blue or more green, there were very, very, very different answers. Most people thought this was blue, a shade of blue. I, however, see it as a shade of green, and there were very few people that said that. It's much more green to me than blue. I don't know if it's anything to do with the fact that I'm neurodiverse. My brain works slightly differently to others. I don't know, but I thought it was really, really interesting. I just do not see that as blue. I mean, obviously it's a bluey green. Obviously it's not green, but to me it fits in with the greens and not with the blues. I would say that's a shade of green. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. If you've got a thought on Coastal Cabana, whether you think it's blue or whether you think it's green, put it in the comments underneath. I'd be really interested to know what people think. It's a bit like that dress thing that everyone went mad for. Was the dress blue or white? And there was one with trainers as well, and it must be something to do with the cones in people's eyes. I don't know, or perhaps even the device that people were looking at the photos on. But you know, everyone was arguing about whether something was white and pink or white and blue. I can't remember exactly how it was, but yeah, very, very interesting. I think Coastal Cabana is green. Let me know what you think. Oh yeah, so I nearly forgot to stamp with it. So busy getting into that. Okay, so should just be able to fit that last stamp in there. There we go. So yeah, so for a tiny scrap of paper, tiny slither there as well. I do use paper and cardstock. I use those words interchangeably. Really it's cardstock. Sometimes I say paper. Okay, so this bit might be tricky. Fussy cutting. My hands are not working particularly well today, so we will give this a shot. I haven't actually coloured in my flowers, have I? So let's do that next. Let's do that quickly. I think I've waffled a bit on this video. Hopefully my phone has got enough room for this. Otherwise I'm going to be doing it in 2 takes again, which is what I had to do recently. Just having a look at my pink one for inspiration on how I coloured. Okay, so just random colours. What should we go for next? So let's do a grey. Let's do a grey one here. I know you don't really get grey flowers, but you know, you get the idea. The best thing about Stampin' Up is there's no right or wrongs, and you can be as artistic as you like. So that just leaves us with a big blue flower. As you can see, I'm not being very careful here. Just throwing the colour on. Make it a little bit darker in the middle. You could obviously colour in the middle a different colour. I'm just going to keep it so simple. And then some blueberry bushel, which comes out quite dark. So do that in the middle. And try and get rid of some of the colour around the edge. Okay, I think that will do. Okay, so let's cut those out. So first I'm just going to sort of loosely cut them all out so that I don't risk ruining them. Okay, so that one I didn't press down hard enough. I've got half a feather there, so that's a bit of rubbish. And on this grey feather I've got some smudges, so let's get rid of that as well. Okay, and I've just separated these out. I've just separated them into colours, and yeah, I'm going to start fussy cutting these out first. So I find it helps to have just a little edge, a little white edge. It actually makes it look neater than trying to cut up to the line. The trick is to try and do this without bending the cardstock, because that's when it tends to look scruffy. And it doesn't have to be too perfect. Obviously I'm doing this on the video, so I'm rushing it a little bit. But you can take as much time and as much care and effort at home as you like. I can't feel my hands today, so I'm shaking as well, so it's going to be interesting. Thankfully I've got nice sharp scissors. Okay, so there's my flowers. I think that looks beautiful. There's my follow your dreams, and because I have stamped that all in one colour rather than the mixed colour like I've got here, black and pink, I'm actually going to use like all of the blueberry bushel feathers to tie it in, and then just a few of the others. Now, from what I remember last time, yeah, so the bottom part of the feather needs to be cut out carefully. The top part, it's not quite so urgent because it's actually covered by the flowers. So actually this is quite an easy thing to cut out. Okay, so I've done the double feather, and I'm going to do the single feather from the blueberry bushel. And you could hang some from the bottom as well if you wanted. I'm just going to hang from where the flowers are. And then the other fiddly bit is going to be sticking it all down. Okay, so I've done a really bad job of that, but I'm aware that we're probably running out of time, so let's glue them all together. Now I'm actually going to use my Tombow liquid glue because I think that's going to be a bit easier. Now, once upon a time I hated liquid glue. It was like the PVA glue that you got at school, and everything would end up soggy and not work very, you know, it just would ruin your craft projects. However, I started using Tombow glue when I started with Stampin' Up, and it is amazing stuff. It's Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue. All the links to all the products I use are always in my blog post and below. And yeah, it's just really good. I couldn't be without it. Right, so I've lined them all up where I want them to be. Oops. I'm just gonna glue these down pretty much at random, not too sort of pretty, not overthinking it. Oops. I'm using the end of my finger, which means I am getting a little bit gluey, but it's a bit difficult for me to pick them up otherwise. Yeah, and I said I might add some bling. I'm not sure. I might add some silver metallic pearls. That might work. I might put them in the middle of the flowers actually. Right, so that's all the glue used. I'm actually going to use the tweezers for this bit. I'm going to pop that on there. I don't know if you can see just like how quick I'm doing this, really. So simple. Follow your dreams, put some Stampin' Dimensionals on. I'm not using, apart from the glue and the tools, which you know you have forever, I'm not actually using much in the way of craft products. I've used a bit of card, some inks and one stamp set. So easy. And to be honest, this doesn't even really need the bling. Follow your dreams. But let's just give it a whirl and see what a pearl would look like. Oh, we've got one on the edge here. Let's take that one out. And let's Oh, that's quite nice actually. I'm going to put that in the middle of that flower. I don't know whether just that one would work or whether I need to put a couple more in. Definitely not the gold, that's not the right colour for this project. Oh, that's quite nice actually, but do I put them all over? Or just leave it at that? I think I'm going to leave it there now. I do realise it sounds like I'm talking to myself. I am kind of talking to myself, but kind of I'm talking to you guys that are watching. Right then, let's put them out of the way. And there we have it, a simple blue Follow Your Dreams card made using the Follow Your Dreams stamp set. You could possibly use this as a masculine card for a spiritual hippie guy. It's entirely up to you, but beautiful card nonetheless. Thanks for watching.